Hey guys, my name is Pamela. I am the girl who panics on Instagram and YouTube. So if you're watching this, you're probably suffering from or know somebody that's suffering from panic attacks and or anxiety. So I truly hope that some of this will be helpful for you. As a medical disclaimer, I am not qualified to offer medical advice. So if you're suffering from panic attacks or anxiety or any other health issue, please do not use this as medical advice. Go see your doctor, go see a qualified medical professional to get help. So that disclaimer out of the way, today I wanted to talk about one of the methods that I've been using to help with my panic attacks and my overall well-being, and that is an HTMA, which stands for Hair Tissue Mineral Analysis. Now, I started doing these with a practitioner probably, like 7 years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And I thought it was very enlightening. I didn't really get very far with it, with the treatment protocol. I didn't see a lot of results. But about 2 years ago, when I started suffering pretty severely from panic attacks to the point where I couldn't cope with life anymore, I decided it was time to revisit the hair tissue mineral analysis protocol. And I found the wonderful girls at Sassy Holistics, that's sassyholistics.com, and they offer the HTMAs with a consult. I don't know the current price, but it's very affordable. I think it was like around $130, $150, something like that. So, and completely worth it. And I will tell you why. So, what happens when our bodies are in a disease state is they burn up minerals. And of course, there's reactions to that when that happens. So what my HTMA showed about a year ago or so was that my adrenals were just crying. My thyroid was crying. There was a lot of stuff going on that was not good. Basically what it does is measure the levels, the mineral levels in your hair. So you take a hair sample, from the nape of your neck. This may be like an inch or so. It's just like a tablespoon of hair. It's not much. So the two labs that do not wash the hair, where you're going to get more accurate results, are TEI, and ARL, Analytical Research Labs, who, by the way, have some really awesome articles on their website all about nutrition and minerals and all that good stuff. So I had my hair test done, and it came back that my calcium was okay, my magnesium was super low, my sodium was super low, my potassium was super low, my zinc was okay, my copper was low, my manganese was sky high, which it was about 7 years ago on my test, and we do believe that that was from my well water that was up north. One thing that can happen, one thing that frequently happens when you check out that ARL website, they mention that if you have copper, iron, or high manganese, if any of those are high, chances are you also have, they kind of all work together. So like, for instance, my manganese was high. Chances are your body is also really storing copper and or iron somewhere else in the body. And this really proved true for me. So once we got out of our well water and we moved to a new house, and I was working with the girls at Sassy Holistics, Kristen, who's great, she was able to help me get my manganese to a normal level. We did this through tons of things, which I will go into in another video. But basically, once that manganese came down, the copper went whoop, and there was all kinds of horrible side effects from that. Copper has a really influential relationship with our hormones, from what I understand. And so this was like a really critical piece of the puzzle to me. Once I got rid of that copper, my sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium all tanked. And that's because your body, when you're excreting those heavy metals, it can be just exhausting. Your body's using up all the energy it has just to get rid of that stuff. So what's interesting, though, about hair tissue mineral analysis is that it's not just about the individual mineral levels. So those are important. We have reference ranges that we want to see those in. When you get your test back, it'll show you this is where you should be. But what's more important are the ratios. And so hair tissue mineral analysis is different from like a blood test in the sense of it's not going to show you like this is what's going on in the moment like a blood test will, but it will show you disease trends. So for instance, your let me see if I can remember this. So your calcium and magnesium has a lot to do with your blood sugar and how your blood sugar ratio is. So that relationship, if that's way out of whack, you're going to be trending maybe towards diabetes. Maybe you don't have diabetes, maybe you'll never get it, but that's kind of like where your body might be trending. Your sodium and magnesium has a lot to do with your adrenals. So that ratio for me was way down. Like my sodium should have been much higher than it was. So my adrenals were really, really struggling. The ratio I believe is supposed to be about 4. Mine was 1. So we're talking like 75% energy loss because of adrenals. Doesn't mean that there's something physically wrong with your adrenals, but it was showing that my body was struggling to get energy from my adrenal glands because it just didn't have the minerals that it needed. So another thing that it can show, the ratios can show, and I believe this is calcium and potassium, shows your thyroid ratio. And the same thing went there because my potassium was so low. It was at a 1. It's supposed to be at 10. It was showing that I was trending majorly towards hypothyroidism. My lab test came back fine for most markers for hypothyroidism. But my antibodies came back high. So we can see there's a correlation there. My thyroid was struggling because it didn't have the nutrients that it needed. You need potassium to get, this is something I learned from the girls at Sassy, you need potassium to get that thyroid hormone into your cells. So even if you have enough circulating thyroid hormone, you may not have the potassium that you need in order to get it into the cells. And so that's really super important. Let me see, sodium and potassium are another really important ratio, and that has to do with kind of your inflammation, your overall vitality. So this was weird because this was always normal for me for years, and then last year it started showing like really high inflammation, and that actually did match my blood test, and it turned out I had a SIBO gut infection. So there we have the inflammation. A few other ratios will show how your digestion is doing, how your hormones are doing. So super, super interesting stuff. If you're suffering from panic attacks and or anxiety, it can be a really good clue. All of those things, of course, digestion, we know that our gut is like our second brain, and it produces like 90% of our serotonin, I think. And so it's super important that that's healthy. So our HTMA can help us with that. Thyroid, adrenals, anytime those are down when we're suffering from chronic fatigue and energy, you can certainly, that can kick off anxiety because your body's just, it's trying to keep going. And when it doesn't have the energy, it's pushing out that adrenaline because, you can't just stop, you have to keep going. And so that adrenaline that's not normal. We're not supposed to be living with that kind of feeling all the time. So I have been working, like I said, for a little over a year with the girls at Sassy Holistics. I'm about due for a retest. They recommend every 3 months, and it's been probably like 4 or 5 months since I've had mine, so it's definitely time, and I will share those results with you when I get it. But if you are interested in hair tissue mineral analysis and seeing the state or the trend that your body is heading towards with your health, I would definitely recommend sassyholistics.com. They and Kristen and the girls have a wonderful Facebook group as well. So helpful, extremely supportive. The judgy comments are not permitted, which is wonderful. Everyone's just very happy to help and looking for some answers. And Kristen is great at moderating that. So I hope you check them out. I hope this is helpful today. And if you liked it, please make sure to follow me. I am the Girl Who Panics, Instagram and YouTube. So please have a wonderful, happy, and healthy and calm day. Thank you. Bye.